Hello and welcome to the Financial Express. And we've just witnessed Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman present the Modi government's 10th budget. And as expected, this is a growth-oriented budget. I have with me our Deputy Managing Editor of the Financial Express newspaper, Shobhana Subramanian. Overall, your view on the budget first.
I think, given the difficult circumstances, I think, given the situation, that we are in financially, I think it's a very good budget. I mean, obviously, you always want more, but I think, Nirmala Sitharaman has done a good job in what is really a very, very difficult time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the growth estimates 9.2%. Do you think that's something that can be achieved? It seems very realistic to me.
So I think that's 9.2 is for this year. Yeah, which is or seems little optimistic, but yeah, maybe this year we'll go through. But this year is history, so we have to look at what the survey said yesterday, 8 to 8.5. I don't even think 8 will be doable. I think if we do 8, we should be lucky.
Right. And given that we've just been through the pandemic and all that, we didn't see any substantial announcements on the healthcare side.
True. I mean, there's no allocation for a vaccine like there was last year. But, to be fair, I haven't read the fine print. And, she's not going to announce everything in the speech.
Okay.
So let's not jump the gun.
Okay.
Yeah, let's read it.
I think one big announcement which has a lot of young investors up in arms is the announcement of a tax on cryptocurrencies or rather virtual assets. So, what's your view on that?
See, all assets are taxed. So if it's shares, you're taxing them. If it is real estate, you're taxing them. So, I mean, it's an asset. So it deserves to be taxed. It is, if you're making a capital gain on any asset, you're taxed.
Okay. But this also makes space for the digital rupee to come in. And she announced that thing that the RBI is going
I think that was always on the cards. I'm not surprised RBI will roll it out, the central bank digital currency. And I mean, nothing very new in that.
Okay. And as far as the taxpayer goes, there's absolutely no change for the normal taxpayer.
Yeah, I was hoping that, as we've written for the 100th time, the 30% rate kicks in way too early at 10 lakh. If it even kicked in at 15 lakh, it would have been better. I always feel that since the corporate sector is doing so well, so brilliantly, she could have taxed corporate profits at a higher rate, say for 2-3 years, and use that money, to give the consumer at the lower end a little relief. But she's not tinkered with anything.
Right. And for the rural sector, I mean, there was some announcement for the agricultural sector, but I thought we expected more, given that they had the farm laws this year and then it was repealed.
No, see, again, we have not looked at the food subsidy bill. We've not seen that, but there will be a big increase. So I'm not surprised. She announced the procurement numbers, which are very, very substantially higher. In the beginning, she announced the numbers. I forget actually whether it's for last year or this year, but it is a jump, I think.
Right.
So, see, given the fact that there's MSP procurement and such large quantities, I think they're getting a fair deal. Plus, she's announced across sectors benefits for farmers, digitization, agri-tech, startups.
Yes.
I think there will be, given the 5 elections, I'm sure there is something for farmers.
And I think there was a boost for startups in this budget.
Yeah. So, I think the date for the tax concessions
One
has
more
been
year.
rolled forward. So, that's a good thing. And, startups, so the ones in the private sector are all getting free capital. So, I don't think they need more than that. And the ones in the government are also getting seed capital. So, I think that's enough of a boost. I mean, there's no difference between a startup and another ordinary company.
Right.
What's the difference? Just because you're doing something only digital. So I think there's enough for them.
Right. And for the education sector, there was expectation that there would be some concessions rolled out. But
She's
nothing,
talked about the universities. I think, the allocation number, again, I've not looked at it. So if she has increased or enhanced the allocation for the existing education programs, I think that in itself is good. There doesn't always need to be something new. You continue the same thing, do it better, and you spend more money. I mean, what do we need? We need more primary education, and probably we need more schools, even at the higher level, and vocational training and all. So if you just increase the allocation, that's good enough.
Right. No, because a lot of people were expecting that, since there was a whole digital divide that was created in.
She's announced the television channels.
Yes, so I think that is a good move for.
I'm sure there's more. If we read, I'm sure there's more.
So overall, what's your take on the budget? It's a good.
Yeah, I think it's a what we would call a realistic budget. So my personal view is that the government is taking on too much by way of capex, and the private sector is doing very little. I think the private sector is just not taking on enough risk. With the excuse that the capacity utilization levels are very low, and I think the government now needs to stop doing the heavy lifting and tell the private sector to move on. Now, for that, the government must make it easier to do business. I don't blame the private sector for not taking on risk. So what I would like to see is easier rules, easier regulation, reliable regulation, less harassment by the taxman. All these plethora of clearances and 580 laws that should go. What the government needs to do is not to spend on capex. What it needs to do is to create an environment where the private sector will invest and the jobs will come thereby, not by the government continuously investing. I think that's a completely wrong way to look at it.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that whatever the capex enhancement, it's a good number.
7.5 lakh crore.
Yeah, it's only a 20% increase over the RE.
Right.
The 35% increases over the BE.
Yeah.
We need to be very clear on, but 20% to my mind is a very good number.
Okay.
Excellent number, and I think I'm very happy that the deficit is at 6.4, because that's what we had written and said, that she should not compress the budget this year. Just give it one more year before she moves on.
Right.
And so I'm very happy with that. Yes, the yields have gone up. I saw as I was looking. So obviously the 14.95 lakh crore gross borrowing number is more than the market expected.
Right.
I'll just have to go and check that. But I think last year it was 12 lakh crore, if memory serves me right. That's a big jump. But I think, if we are going to spend on capex, we need to borrow. And if the private sector is not going to do it this year, the government is doing it.
Yeah. And I guess the stock markets also are cheering, because
stock markets will cheer because they have everything going for them, the corporate sector.
Yeah.
No taxes have been touched, no STT. I would have expected STT to go up. No changes on capital gains. They have everything going for them. They are relieved that there's no increase. So I'm not surprised that they are gaining share from the MSMEs. All the big corporates are taking away share. They're becoming bigger, stronger, and the MSMEs are becoming weaker, struggling, and dying. So I'm not surprised the stock market is cheering.
That was something we expected she might fix in this budget, but so far.
You can't fix that.
Yeah.
How many she has increased the ECL GS.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if you don't create the environment, you can't expect small units to flourish. It will only be the large listed corporations that will do well, because they can afford to quote unquote take care of the environment, bribe the officials, bribe the government.
But I think
they can manage the environment. The smaller units can't,
But whatever the government's been doing seems to be working, because GST collections were at a record.
Yeah,
number.
GST collections, because the economy is becoming increasingly formalized. The organized sector is doing well. So I'm not surprised that GST is going. Also, January these are January collections, I think.
1.41 lakh crore in January.
Yeah, or is this December collection?
January 2022.
No, usually the collection is for the month before.
Perhaps, maybe the number.
Yeah, so it was a wedding month, holiday month.
Okay, so that's.
Yeah, you have to be a little careful.
And it was
Number of days is 31.
Just before the third wave as well.
Exactly. Omicron had not fully set in.
Yes.
So we need to take that into account.
So I guess that's
What I like most is the disinvestment target is 65,000 crore.
Yes.
That means LIC will get done this year.
Yeah, we were expecting the IPO to be announced around this time.
I think it will be done by March because otherwise they would not have assumed such a small target. It's a very realistic target.
Yeah.
So all in all, I think they have their feet on the ground, which is wonderful.
Great. Thanks so much, Shobhana. I
Thank
think
you.
that was a quick takeaway for the budget. There's ongoing coverage on financialexpress.com, and in the paper we'll have the complete breakdown of every sector for you to see. Thanks so much for watching.